it was a busy Halloween as far as fights were concerned. We had a lot of news this week. So let's get into it. I want to start off with the Showtime boxing card from last night. Gervonta Tank Davis taking on Leo Santa Cruz. They're putting both of their belts up on the line. Gervonta's lightweight title, Santa Cruz's super featherweight title, as these guys were going to crack at this thing, and let's see what's going on. It was supposed to be a big star-making performance for Gervonta Davis, and that did not disappoint. It was an absolute show-stopping knockout from him in the sixth round. A hellacious left uppercut that deaded Leo Santa Cruz, buckled him under the ropes, and that was all she wrote. And it was a really fun fight between these two guys. I thought Leo Santa Cruz, he did not come to mess around. He was going to bring that all-action style. He did not try and hold anything back. He is always a guy that will put himself in the line of fire, but he is a guy that, like many thought, was coming up in a big-time weight. He's not going in there with the little guys where he could take a gazillion shots and win the war of attrition. He was having some success with it, especially early on. I do think that Gervonta Davis really looked like around round 3, like he was comfortable. There was a little swelling around his eye, but I think that once he realized he wasn't going to get hurt with any one shot, he really started timing himself. He was setting things up. He looked very, very mature, very poised, and eventually got him with a shot. But it was, look, Leo Santa Cruz was not backing down. It was a great back and forth between them. Anytime that Tank was, unleashing anything at him, Leo was not letting himself get out of the fight until he got hit with an absolute nuclear bomb, and that was all she wrote. So you got to give a lot of credit to Leo for putting his neck out there. He wanted this fight. He wanted to silence a lot of doubters, but look, you got an absolute horse right now in this division with Tank Davis. That guy hits with absolutely no conscience. And if I could just take the words of one Errol Spence, Mother Bleeper hit like a horse kick, and I've seen a horse kick before, and that's no bueno. So, my first reaction to that shot from Gervonta was that couldn't have gone any better for what they wanted, and in a couple regards. I think one, he's been built up to be the heir apparent, the next pay-per-view star, all of this type of stuff. And you wonder these things as a person who watches this sport. I said this last week, with the build of a Mayweather, part of the appeal with Mayweather is everybody kind of was rooting against him. He was brash. He talks a lot of trash. It wasn't always the most pleasing style to watch, but he talked a great game. He had a great gimmick. He pissed a lot of people off by flashing his money. And so, Mayweather raked in the cash with people rooting against him, pretty much laughing all the way to the bank. With Tank, it's a little bit different in that, this guy, they're making him out to be this super likable character who comes from nothing in the streets of Baltimore, and also just has a really fun fight style. So that's gonna get a lot of people to root for him. It's not gonna get a lot of people to root against him. It's a big swing in the ways to make a star, but one of the ways to do those is when you have a guy on a big stage, and this is supposed to be his coming out party, and he does something like that. It is blockbuster. Like, people who've paid their $75 to watch him today, however many it is, 100,000, couple 100,000, 300,000, 500,000, who knows? But whatever that number is, they're going to feel like they got their money's worth. That was as good a fight as you've probably seen Mayweather in the era of spending a lot of money to watch Mayweather fights. Mayweather usually made a lot of his opponents look silly, sloppy, but you never really got that exclamation point, outside of like Ricky Hatton. So, and I'm talking the money Mayweather. I'm not talking Pretty Boy. I'm talking like when you had to fork over a lot of cash to watch Mayweather. And so, look, it was a great performance by Gervonta, and for everything they bet on that he was going to be, he just just hit at blackjack. He, rolled 7 at the craps table. He got all cherries at the slot machine. He paid off on the bet and then some. That knockout, and this was a genius thing by Showtime, is anybody who didn't pay the $75, that knockout was on Twitter within 30 seconds by their account. And that was a smart thing. A lot of people, back in the day, they used to hog these things. Oh, we can't do it because we don't want to, the rebuy. It's like, who rebuys anymore? So look, that's a huge statement by Tank. It's interesting now to see where this division's at. It's a fun division. It is full of a lot of young stars, a lot of charismatic stars. Look, there's not if you want to just talk about the 4 guys who really front this 135 division, which I imagine is where Tank is going to officially reside after this. I don't, he did the 2 belt thing. He made good weight. All that stuff is awesome. I gotta imagine that he is gonna stay up now and going forth, because I just think there's a lot of money there, quite frankly. But you just think about, Teofimo Lopez, Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney's fighting next week down here in Miami against Yorioki Gamboa, Ryan Garcia. There's just so much star power between the 3 of them, but I really hope that they are not all kept away from each other for very long. If they want to do the thing where, hey, they both got to fight somebody now, and Teofimo's got a lot of belts, so he's got a lot of options. We'll talk about one of those coming up in a little bit with his IBF mandatory that won today. But eventually, like, if we just say where things are at the top of this division, you hope that, hey, among all of these guys that we're going to get cracking, and it's going to be amongst everybody taking on each other. So I just thought it was a fantastic night for him, as far as that's concerned, because I thought he showed a lot of maturity. Like, he got swarmed early, thought he paced himself well. You could see some frustrations go forth early on. There was a questionable slip knockdown in the first round, but he wasn't shaken by it either way, and just showed a lot of poise. Just showed a lot of poise before he uncorked that absolute monster uppercut, which I'm sure just has to make Showtime happy, PBC happy, has to make Mayweather Promotions absolutely ecstatic. So I think the thing that's going to be interesting here is, like, what is the most likely direction they go in, because they got a guy in Leo Santa Cruz who's under the Al Haymon umbrella. Are they going to stay in that playpen? Are they going to try and make sure that everybody's out here and they can try and stay within their own limit, because Devin Haney's a matchroom guy, Ryan Garcia's golden boy, Teofimo is top rank. So everybody, the one problem that we have is we have all these guys, but they're all in this realm of, we have to try and get everybody on the same 10. One of the things that I guess would be positive is we did just have an ESPN Showtime pay-per-view with Teofimo Lopez, with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. So those guys have worked out together now, and they have been able to make something happen. But you don't want to be in one of these positions where, we don't have any opportunity to see this. But I'm going to say right now with boxing, like, not to make it this simple, but when you have an undisputed champion and an interim champion, they eventually have to fight. We just saw this with Khabib Nurmagomedov taking on Justin Gaethje. And so when I look upon the lightweight rankings and I see that Teofimo Lopez has a piece of the WBA crown, and Gervonta Davis has a piece of the WBA crown, and the same thing goes for the WBC and all this type of stuff, how these all don't get together and say, hey, these guys got to fight each other, that's that is, it's kind of crazy to me. And I know that, Gervonta he has a situation with he has a manager in Floyd Mayweather who might tell the WBA to kick the sharpest of rocks, that we don't need belts. We got the star. That may be the direction they go, and it may be where Teofimo is in the situation where he is the belt guy. He is the guy who has all the gold, and that's going to be the direction they go. I hope it's not. I hope that these guys take over a new era of boxing where they're all fighting each other, where they're all hungry for one another, where they're going to be all legends amongst each other if they get into the ring with one another. But I will say, for Teofimo getting all of the belts and how big his performance was against Lomachenko, that's going to be more remembered. I mean, even with his number being 3 million and a lot of people tuning in, and him having all the straps right now, the viral effect of Gervonta's knockout is going to have more effect over people seeing it, probably for the next, week or so, and then we'll roll forth into whatever his next fight is. So, but he's in a tough spot because he's got mandatory, when you have all them belts, you got a lot of people that you got to appease. And I'm not saying that they got to fight each other next, because all these guys are kind of just getting onto the crown of things. But, by the end of next year, you would like to have Teofimo Lopez fight one of these guys, Gervonta Davis to fight one of Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, something in that realm, or whomever has the belts after all of this stuff. Like, you want to start getting this all sorted out so we can figure out who the man is. Because Teofimo came out of last week and he was the man, or 2 weeks ago, and showed that he was the man. And then, this week, everybody's going to be singing the high praises of Gervonta Davis. Maybe Devin Haney goes out next week and he does something to Yorioki Scamboa that Gervonta Davis couldn't do. Maybe he finishes him in within 3 rounds, does something, really, really impressive. Maybe Ryan Garcia takes Luke Campbell on in a little bit. And, all these guys are going to have their time to shine and have their opportunity. I just hope that it's upon the sport that they don't keep them apart, and that we get a chance to see them all. But tonight belongs to Gervonta Davis, because that was perfection. You couldn't ask for a night to go better than what he did last night.